Welcome to the Jukebox. I'm your host, Brandon, and today I am going to be reviewing the album The Big Day by Chance the Rapper. And oh my goodness, this album has such bad reviews. Just straight up the rip, I just want to say that a lot of people hated this album. And I can get it. I can get why wholeheartedly. If you were a fan of Chance the Rapper or are a fan of Chance the Rapper and you're kind of following him for a minute, you would know how talented he was at creating projects. When it goes down to, I'm gonna skip past Good Enough Back to School Pack and go straight to 10 Day, which followed his 10 day suspension from school and made an incredible project. Acid Rap, which might be one of the best mixtapes I personally ever heard, which is like album level quality stuff to me. There's a couple songs maybe some people feel like you could have did without, but it was still one of the biggest. It was like his big introduction. Everybody's like, oh, Chance the Rapper, and then now he's like featuring all over the place. And then people were kind of waiting to see what his next moves were gonna be, and then it was all leading up to this album. It was like my first album is gonna be big, and then no, then Coloring Book came out, which was like him kind of the peak. I feel like because it was like 10 Day, Acid Rap. It's like not now your name's starting to be in the limelight, and then it's like Coloring Book. He's already there and kind of in that limelight. He has big features on this project. He has Future. He has just a lot of people. And so now everybody's like, all right, what's his next project going to be? This is his first album. They're like, this album's going to be great. Then the big day comes out, everybody hates it. I get why, but how I feel about this album, I'm gonna let you know right now. It's like a 4.5 or a 5. And I want to explain my ratings because I don't. A 4.5 isn't terrible, in my eyes. A 4.5 is doable. 5 is like mid. So this is like below mid to me, slightly below mid, but it's around mid. And the reason why I feel like this album could have been so much better if it wasn't so long. There's like 20, 21 songs on this album, and I feel like it could have been a smooth like 11. And here's how. First, before I even go song by song, I'll just go song by song first. All Day Long is the first one, and featuring John Legend. It's cool. It's a decent intro in my opinion. I remember my first time I listened to this, I was at the warehouse, and I was just like, all right, he released this album. Let me plug in my earphones while I'm doing my work. I'm gonna do my job. Can't nobody talk to me, and I'm gonna listen to all of this and then just give my review. And I was listening to it, and I didn't hate it. It was like it sounded very Chance the Rapper-esque, so I was like, okay, kind of come to expect it. Next song is Do You Remember, and I like Do You Remember. That's just gonna let you know right now. That's my favorite song on that album, possibly. The next two songs are like neck and neck, but Do You Remember is a great song to me, and it's very kind of feels very reminiscent, and it's very nostalgic. Even though it's like it was new, it felt nostalgic because it's just about just like good times. It was kind of about that year in the same time. It was like he was talking about things that were just happening. But it was like, do you remember this time? I think it was kind of meant for the future. Like you go back and you're like, oh yeah, I do remember. Eternal is the next song featuring Smino, and a lot of people are kind of just getting hip to Smino, but he's a very talented artist as well. And I think Eternal is a great song, but it kind of falls into the theme that everybody talks about, the whole "I love my wife" thing. I don't care if that's the content you want to drop. That's the content you want to drop. That ain't got nothing to do with me. If you love your wife, go ahead and put it on the album. I feel like music should be the biggest reflection of yourself and your life. So if that's how he feels in that moment, then that's the type of content he's going to create. Everybody has to grow. You can't be the same person forever. You can't be doing that shit forever. So I love Eternal. That's one of my favorite songs on this album. And I think those are two great Chance the Rapper songs aside from this album. Do you remember in Eternal? I think those are both great songs. Like if you take Acid Rap, 10 Day, and it's like you just put all his best songs in there. I would throw those two songs in there. Hot Shower, it's the biggest hit. It's kind of not very content filled. It's just kind of just like the beat is very. There's no melody. It's just straight beat. Kind of like how Cash It is by Meg Thee Stallion. It's just straight beat, and it's somewhat catchy, but it's kind of not that good. Like it's a hit, but I don't think it's a very good hit, in my opinion. And I feel like Chance has and will and can do better than that. But then again, it was just a song he made. It sounds very fun, so I'm not mad at it. I can tell they were just having fun with the song. Chance the Rapper made in Tokyo the Baby. They're all just kind of like even in the video is very fun, and I enjoy it for what it is. It's not something I'd be like, oh, he could have went harder lyrically, or he could have went harder on the hook or on the beat. It is what it is. I feel like We Go High is not the most memorable song. It just kind of exists in my eyes. It's not something I'm a big fan of. But the next song is I Got You, Always and Forever, featuring En Vogue, Ari Lennox, Kier Sheard. And I really like this song. This was my first time hearing it. This was my favorite song on there. Actually, just looking back at this was definitely my first favorite song on there. I not like it. I like how En Vogue is kind of still doing their thing vocally. And it's just, they have great singers all throughout the song. It's one of the best vibes on the album, in my opinion. The next song, well, I'm not going to do no skits. We're just going to skip past skits. The next song is Rue, Chance the Rapper featuring Taylor Bennett and Coco Rosie. I'm a pretty big Taylor Bennett fan, and I think those two are capable of creating great projects. And since they are brothers, I would love to see them make a joint project. And I think they made a couple of songs. I don't know if they did a project. I could be wrong. But Chance the Rapper at one point was dropping a pretty large amount of projects, whether it was like a big deal or not. Like he was doing Christmas projects, mixtapes, albums, featuring. So he's very content filled. So, but I would love to see more of those two together because I feel like they create great things. And I like that song. Not the best song, but I do like it. Thebigday is the song Thebigday. I'm not a big fan of that song. It's one of my least favorite songs, man. And I feel like it could have. For you to name your project after the song, I feel like that song could have been better. Let's Go on the Run. It's not one of my favorites either. It's kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's just, I'm just going to skip past that. But Handsome featuring Meg Thee Stallion. I'm a big Meg Thee Stallion fan, which is kind of random in a lot of people's eyes, but I'm a big Meg Thee Stallion fan. I've always liked Meg Thee Stallion since she first came out. And I gotta review her soon. But Handsome, I like Handsome. It's not the craziest song, but I do like it. It's just kind of like, it is what it is. It's pretty catchy in my opinion. I'm surprised it wasn't a bigger hit than it was. Like, I'm surprised it wasn't like on the radio. I don't remember if it was. I could be wrong, but like I said, I don't remember hearing this on the radio. I also don't listen to the radio, but this isn't something that I heard on the radio before. I've heard Hot Shower and I think another one was on the radio. Big Fish featuring Gucci Mane. And it was just alright to me. It wasn't something I would download. If I had to delete something off my phone, I wouldn't keep it. Ballin' Flossin', kind of same whole thing. If I had to keep it, I wouldn't. And there's like a 3 or 4 song stretch right here to where it's like their songs are kind of mid. 5 Year Plan, I'm not a big fan of either. Like I get what I get with the whole, but it's very adult and it's very like it's not as fun. I feel like. And I think that's kind of where the issue kind of lies. A lot of his fan base is like teenagers. And we all kind of grew up together. We kind of grew up with Chance, essentially. And it's like, like I said, it started in high school, branched off to just experimenting with acid and doing all kind of things, finding Jesus. And then now it's like the big day, it's like the marriage. And this is very adult, I feel like. Like this is a stage, not all of them are in yet. So it's kind of hard to understand and see these things through your eyes. Because it doesn't really appeal to the same audience that it once did. But Get It Back is the next song, and I like Get It Back. I thought it was pretty good. I feel like it can get annoying if it's like, it was not something I would listen to consistently all day long every day. But I like Get It Back. Slide Around featuring Lil Durk and Nicki Minaj. I like Slide Around as well. And I feel like the beat's pretty good. I feel like I just feel like it's a pretty decent song. It doesn't. I feel like a couple of songs on this album are overshadowed by the overall thing, and I feel like that's kind of unfair. Because I feel like as a project, it's not the greatest, but song for song, there's some pretty good songs on here. Like I said, I would cut out a good mix of these, and I think that's where his issue kind of lied, was he put too many songs in there, in my opinion, and too many skits. It's kind of hard to just sit down and listen to this entire thing because you're like. It's just kind of overwhelming in a sense. Found a Good One. Single No More, I like it. Also, it can get kind of repetitive. I'm not saying a no more. I'm not saying a no more. At least at the beginning, but then like it kind of builds up and it improves. Town on the Hill, also not my favorite. It's just kind of a song. And the last song on this album is Zanies and Fools featuring Nicki Minaj and Dixon. I actually like that song. I like that more as I go back and listen to it. Like as time goes, I like the song more and more. And I like Nicki Minaj did a thing on this album. I'll give it that. I'm kind of a tough critic on certain artists, and I feel like I've given Nicki Minaj somewhat a hard time over the years about some songs. So I feel like she could have went harder, things like that. But there's a lot that goes into it. But I feel like she really did her thing on the song, and I like the how their styles worked together. They didn't clash. It actually worked really well, and they're on more than one song on this album. But okay, here's how I would have did this album, song for song. I would have erased like half of it. I would have kept All Day Long as the first song. Do You Remember would have stayed. Eternal, Hot Shower can stay just because of what it is. I Got You, Always and Forever can stay. Rude can stay. Handsome can stay. Get It Bag can stay. Slide Around, Found a Good One, Zanies and Fools. That's 11 songs. That eliminates the skits, eliminates Town on the Hill, Sun Come Down, 5-Year Plan, Ball and Floss and Big Fish, Let's Go on the Run, Thebigday, and We Go High. And like I said, I feel like that was the biggest issue with this album. I feel like it just lasted a little too long and kind of didn't hold people's attention the way it should have. So Chance, my message to you is just, like I said, it's art, your art, anybody's art is a reflection of their current lifestyle. So I cannot fault you for that. And I admire seeing your growth as much as every artist's growth, in my opinion. Every artist cannot stay the same person, or else you will. It's just as bad as this type of growth to me. As other people see this type of growth, people are like, "Oh, I don't want to see him rap about this kind of stuff. I want to see him rap about this." But I feel like if you stay in the same element forever, you're just gonna fizzle out because when other people are gonna be doing the same thing you're doing. So, like I said, there's nothing wrong with your growth, but. Song for song, let me review my favorites. Just best song. Best song to me when I first heard it was when I first heard the album. It was I Got You, Always and Forever was my favorite. Now it is Do You Remember. Do You Remember was around my favorite back then too, but it's like without a doubt my favorite now. Do You Remember and Eternal are like 1 and 2 favorites on there. And I think the best hook on this album is Eternal. I Got You is pretty close though. It actually is like right there with it. It might be better in most people's eyes. But I like the whole we can be eternal forever. That's just me singing it. But still, like I like that whole hook that they had. I thought it was very good. And the best verse on this album, it might have went to Nicki Minaj for real. I like both of their verses on Zanies and Fools. I feel like they did a really good job with their verses. I also like the verse on I like Taylor Bennett's verse on Rue. I like Do You Remember has a good one. Eternal has a good verse. But the best verse to me, looking at it by him, was probably Do You Remember. And it's probably the first verse, Do You Remember? So best beat on this project to me, I Got You is a great one. It might be I Got You, honestly. Or Slide Around is a good beat too, in my opinion. Just because it's different. And the best feature I will give to En Vogue. En Vogue had the best feature, in my opinion, on this project. Nicki Minaj was second. And I will give Meg Thee Stallion third. Or or Taylor Bennett, honestly. Probably Taylor and then Meg that's 4. But that's overall that's how I feel about this album. The way I felt about it the first time was I wasn't very underwhelmed. I didn't hate it as much as everybody else did. I didn't see the hate as much. I was unsatisfied with it, yes, because just like everybody else, I was like, this is his first album technically, so I'm like, this is gonna be like the first studio album. This is gonna be big quality music. This is gonna be great, and it was different than I feel like a lot of people had expected. It didn't meet everybody's expectations, which is fine. It's the way it is. But like I said, the way I felt about it over time, I went back and listened to it a couple more times. I'm like, should I hate this as much as everybody else does? Should I have not liked it the way I thought I would, or should I like this more than I do? And I was like, let me give it a chance. I feel like other people like listened to some of it and cut it off. They didn't even finish it. Or some people didn't even hear it at all. It was just like riding the wave and being like, oh, this sucks. Or kind of out of nowhere, people just didn't love him like they used to. Like Chance the Rapper was one of the most loved artists at one point. Maybe not the most, but he was definitely a loved artist. And then out of nowhere, people just kind of were like, fuck you, Chance. And it's like wow, what did I do? So I think, like I said, my ending piece for this project is I feel like this project was just too long. And it could have been much better if you had shortened it by like 8 or 9 songs and excluded the skits. I get the message I'm trying to get across. But also it's kind of just involving people he's cool with at this time, I feel like. Involving his brother, involving Smino, he's been working with for quite some time. Involving different, like for instance, The Lights is Back. Involving different genres as well. Different types of people, like there's Gucci Mane, there's Megan Thee Stallion, there's John Legend, Taylor Bennett, Cowboy, there's SWV. There's a wide range of artists. So it's very different, I feel like. But like I said, I feel like it was just a little too long. And even John Witherspoon, aka Pops, RIP to him, was in the skits for this. But like I said, I just feel like it was still a little too long. I feel like it could have did without. But that's how I feel about this album as a whole. If there's any other albums you would like me to review, like the rest of the crew to review, leave it down below. Let me know how you felt about this album. Like I said, a lot of people disliked it. Let me know if you disliked it just like everybody else. Let me know if you have different feelings and you actually love this album. Let me know what your favorites were, favorite songs, favorite hook, any personal feels about this album. And I will see y'all next episode of Jukebox.